What's up, folks? How are you? Jesse Good, Janie, Christy Strom, Pups, how are you? Kathy Hayes. How is everybody tonight? Can y'all hear me? Jess B, how are you? Can everyone hear me? Tina, how are you? Delirium, what's up? Tyler, I mean. All right, Savage, good. Margie, how are you? Poppy from Sweden, how are you, my friend? Dennis Stamp, how are you? Johnny Ohm. Wesley September, how are you doing? God damn it. There, that's better. Delirium. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you, Delirium. That is awesome. Simone, how are you? Happy birthday to Delirium. Happy birthday to Delirium. Happy birthday to Delirium. Happy birthday to you. Patty, thank you so much. Delirium, happy birthday. Wesley September. Actually, today was Isabel's boyfriend's birthday. He just turned 18. So Caleb, happy birthday, buddy. And he turned 18, so it was his, like, when you went to the casino, he's like, can we go get lotto tickets? I can buy lotto tickets legally now. And I'm like, go ahead, buddy. Gringo, what's going on, Gringo? Record girl, I hope you're doing well. I hope your birthday I hope there was 0 to minimal pain on your birthday, Delirium. I know you suffer from some pain and shit, so I really hope you had a good one. Robert Sharp, how are you, buddy? Red Cardinal, what's up, Shackle Necker? David, how are you? Claire Harris. Aretha, how are you? Carol Hollenbeck, how are you? What's up, Jonathan? Awesome. Turbo. he just came in right before the live. That's why Christopher Jr. Happy late birthday, Christopher. So just before the live comes on, right? He got one of those cash words. And you know how you got to scratch the bottom of it? He comes running in because he's never played lotto before. He comes running in, he's like, you got to double check this. And I'm like, what, bud? And he's got he didn't realize he had to scratch the bottom, and he just started scratching. And he's like, it's words, right? And I'm like, you got to scratch the bottom, bud, to get the words with the letters they give you. It was literally so fucking cute, man. I was like, bro. Oh, Wiley, what's up, buddy? Giant, how are you? Scooby-Doo. I feel like I'm Scooby. I'm like in my fucking Cape Cod look today. No, I took Belle and Caleb out to dinner tonight, so we had dinner. It was good. Yes, happy Memorial Day to everyone. Happy Memorial Day weekend. I'm so glad everyone's here tonight. Pops is with us. Jane is with us. Hopefully Liz shows up tonight. Simone's with us. Actually, everyone's with us, and I'm so fucking happy. I am so happy. Chrissy Strom is with us. What's up there, Wolf? Craigers. Does anyone, when you see Kreger's name, do you guys like think of those rims? Kreger's? Yeah, delirium. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I will. That is, oh, I'm going to do it tomorrow. That's terrible. I'm going to do that shit tomorrow. Jane knows. The Kreger rims. What are your plans this weekend? Well, I haven't seen my parents since they came home from Maine, so I'm probably going to go see them tomorrow. And then I'm probably going kayaking on Monday for a little bit, just to get out of the house. Ed Bot, how are you? Thank you very much. I go there quite often, actually. I love that place, to be honest with you. Jason, how are you, my friend? All right, so I think we will start. Lisa McDonald, how are you? Mike Pros, how are you? I got some good lot lizards tonight. I got some classic lot lizard stories for you guys tonight. But let's start this evening off right. I recently attended my high school reunion and chatted with my old neighbor and best friend Ash. She said, "Do you remember that pig-faced monster we had seen?" I looked at her with shock as that horrible memory faded back in. I must have been so terrified I had blocked it out. Oh yeah, I remember. I used to live on a secluded dirt road, well, in the middle of a 40-acre plot. Anyway, our property joined a huge state park at the back 25 miles from the nearest town in Missouri. We were about 16, so around 2003. We were babysitting our younger siblings, so it was us and 4 younger ones. Our parents were out for the night, obviously. We were no strangers to the woods. We knew the property well and would even walk the 2 miles between our houses. We were free-range kids. So it was way past dark, but we had pole light on the house. It's summer, so it feels great outside. We're all playing tag, hide and seek, running around. I ran around the corner of my house and I saw something white like a flash run behind a propane tank. Then our backyard is clear besides a small well house and propane tank. The woods are probably 150 yards away, so not a lot of places for an animal or anything to hide. Ash saw it as well. The kids are still playing and we thought it was a stray dog, even though the thing was crazy fast, way faster than a dog. Up until that point, we had no reason to fear anything in those woods. We do not have large predators. So we're like, oh, poor dog, let's check it out. We sprint over to the well house and see a crouched white thing. I remember its hands were long-fingered hands. It was matted and dirty and smelled like death. My mind couldn't quite comprehend its face, but it had kind of an upturned nose, no hair on its face, like a snarling dog pig. I don't remember its eyes, but I believe they were black and yellow. All I know is it looked evil and inspired fear. At that moment, we screamed and ran, and the thing dashed off into the woods. As I looked over my shoulder, the kids heard us screaming and knew something was wrong. We screamed for them to get in the house, and we locked the doors. I couldn't keep my eyes off the back windows. Like, I didn't want to see it, but I had kids to protect, so I felt the need to know if it was there. We were just scared and pumped with adrenaline and couldn't even speak about it. We got the kids calmed down and finally put to bed, and I talked with Ash, and she saw the same thing I did. My parents got home, and we broke down, freaking out, crying, pointing at the well house. My stepdad even went out there with his gun. We were so adamant. They told us it was probably a feral hog, and we were just tired or something. We didn't tell anyone at school, never brought it up again. After the reunion, I asked my brother, who was 6 years younger than me, if he remembered the night we saw the monster at Mom's old house. He said no, and I started talking about how I forgot about it until Ash had brought it up, and about how we saw something behind the well house. He interrupts me and asks, "Was it white?" I say, "Yeah." He asks, "Did it have a face like a weird dog?" And I nodded. His eyes got big and basically starts yelling, "Oh my God, I saw that thing down the road from there a few years ago," and freaking out, visibly got goosebumps on his arms. He said he was driving down the dirt road with his girlfriend at the time, hauling ass like always, but on a real rocky patch, he would hit the brakes and slow down. He saw something in the headlights standing about 10 feet from the ditch, so he still thought someone had put a weird statue out there, but its eyes followed him and its face was sweaty. It was white but muddy, had a dog like face and long fingered hands. It stood maybe 6 feet tall on two legs. Its eyes followed him as he passed it, and he looked in the rear view and saw it dash away into the trees. He asked his girlfriend if she saw it, and she nodded. They never spoke of it again, and he'll never told anybody. He just said he kind of blocked it out until I just brought up the monster at Mom's place. I stopped playing in those woods after that day in 2003 and started doing sports and teenage things. Ash stopped walking to my house and we grew apart. Now my brother and I are creeped out. What's up, Five Rings? How are you, buddy? Who did I miss? Spaghetti Guy, how are you? DB Mac, how are you? DL Hemingway, what's going on, my friend? Dirty Dom, how are you? Widmore, what's going on, buddy? Judith, how are you? Ruben, how are you? DL, I'm very sorry for your mom and what you're going through right now. That is absolutely terrible, and I honestly know the feeling and know the just how helpless we feel when that happens. I'll never forget. Sasquatch and Grandma. It is getting long quick, huh? Winter Sky, how are you? Larry Lindman. Makes you wonder, how are you? Hey, Dora. I know I got to put my parents' flag up tomorrow. What's up, Stacy Lockett? How are you, dear? Eli, what's going on, my friend? If you haven't put your flag up, don't forget to do it. I put mine up real early. Yeah, I wish the wisdom was there with the hair, Spaghetti Guy. I'm doing good, Mert. How are you? Dacio, how are you? Simone, I retired the Vegemite. I put it downstairs. I actually, because I didn't want it to I don't want it to spoil because I want to keep that jar forever. I duct taped it shut. Daryl, what's up, buddy? Stacy Mathis. I duct taped that thing shut. What's up, Cora? No updates on that yet. I wish. I really do. I don't know if you caught the upload that I did the other day where I thanked you for the Rougarou. That thing is sick. I love it. It's downstairs in the downstairs studio. Nicola, how are you? Johnny Ohm, I did say hi to you already, but hi again. How are you, two-way? Tony Glover. I didn't even check something today. Gotta check something. This one is really, really creepy and weird, and I really like this one. I wish they had did a little more detail. My dad and I were hunting in the Bitterroot Range north of Idaho City, Idaho. It was about twilight, and we were hiking back to our car. We began to smell something terrible, like burning bone and hair. It was the worst stench I had ever experienced. The smell got worse as we kept hiking. We could hear what we thought was someone or something running at a great rate of speed behind us. My dad grabbed me, held my face to his chest, and dropped to the ground. I held him close. I held him close as the running got louder. Dad readied his rifle. I heard him say, "Oh no, son, stand up, walk with me. Look at the ground." Terrified, I stood up. Stupid me, I turned around and looked, and there was the remains of an elk. The head looked like it had been put in a blast furnace. The hair on the body was all singed, hooves looked melted. The running sound was gone. We moved closer to the car. It was now nearly dark. About 100 yards from the car, we heard the running again and froze. All of a sudden, the forest lit up like noonday. We heard a very loud whoosh and it was gone. The forest was dark. It was quiet, dead still. We booked it to the car, threw our gear in the back seat, and drove. I kept my head down and I just cried. My dad was stoic and silent. Halfway out of the woods, we saw a light again, bright as ever, but just for a second. Then it was gone. We made our way back to Idaho City and stopped at Gold Mine Grill to regroup. We went inside, and there was another hunter there who was excited and loud. He looked at us and said, "Y'all see that bright light?" Then he became quiet, stared, and drank. Ever since that incident 10 years ago, my dad and I have wondered about what we experienced. Tijuana Border Jumper, what's going on? There's John Sumner. Kimberly, how are you? Sandra Overrides. There's Coker. Tina, how are you? That dude, I like that one because it's terrifying. If you think about, like, I was thinking about what would I do? Because, like, you hear this running sound, and then, like, his dad must have seen something. That's why I wish his dad was there and helped write it, because I want to know what his dad saw. So something melted the elk. Like, was it a UFO? That's what I'm assuming. It was some sort of, or government, like something. I don't know. What's good, Jersey Night Cat? How are you? That's exactly. And then the whoosh sound, the whoosh. So it's blue. It's not black, though. It's more or less like a beach shirt, I think. Thanks, Vanessa. But, like, that light, what? I don't know. It's pretty cool. Pretty creepy. What do we got? 19 minutes? 11 more minutes and we'll do a lot lizard story. I'm pretty excited about the lot lizard stories tonight. Awesome, Jersey. Oh, shit. I forgot how long that one was. Lots of caves. Yeah, I looked into it a little bit. It does look a little interesting. And other things melted. Yeah, they were melted. Well, they were melted, but they were fused. They were actually fused because when Tijuana, thank you, my friend. I am, brother. I am. Because they were fused. Because when they came back through, all of the atoms. Because Aramik, what's going on, my friend? When the atoms and everything had readjusted, human atoms got fused with the metal. So there was people that were like just dangling out of the hull of the ship and still alive for like momentarily. I think the longest a person lived attached to the ship or like still alive was like close to an hour and a half, if I'm right. Wiley, you are probably 100% right on that. I absolutely love Coke. Actually, I wanted to try Mountain Dew the other day, so I sucked down a 12-pack of that in a couple seconds. What's up, Analog? How are you? James, a naval vet in his late 50s, was camping with some of his old naval buddies in a very remote area of a forest in southwest PA, most likely Greene County, 2021. They had spent most of the day hiking to a location, and it was around dusk when they set up their tents. James went off alone to gather some firewood. It was now getting dark, but he was only about 30 yards from camp and had his 45 with him. He soon realized he was being flanked on his left and his right by something. He called out to his friends who arrived to check on him. As they walked on the trail, a 7 to 8 foot tall wolf-like creature standing on its hind legs emerged from the forest. They described it as massive, with a chest as like a bodybuilder. Its eyes were glowing yellow as it gnashed its teeth. A type of slime oozed from its mouth. The creature charged at them, but it was impeded by a large boulder which seemingly came out of nowhere and impacted the side of its head, causing it to fall into a ravine. The men quickly rushed back to camp. A second wolf-like creature, even larger than the first, stepped out and also charged at them. It was two, struck by an object, this time a tree, which caused a cracking sound and felled the creature. As the men watched, a large creature covered in hair, standing 10 feet tall with noticeable breasts, stepped out of the forest, holding a log in its hands. It was joined by another hairy creature standing 12 feet in height. The creatures stared at the men. The female then pointed down the trail, and the men sensed she was telling them to leave the area. They rushed back to camp. Since it was too far and too late to hike out, the men made a bonfire using any wood close by or already gathered and stayed up all night with their weapons drawn. They could hear the two sets of creatures circling the camp. At one point, another one of the wolf-like creatures stepped out of the forest and walked in their direction, but it was stopped by one of the Bigfoot-like creatures which emerged out of the forest and attacked it with a large stick. At dawn, the terrified men broke camp and, despite their exhaustion, made their way back down that trail and out of the area. There's breasticles, fucking Aramik. There is a let's see what Aramik wrote again. Motorboat, what's going on? So there is a another experience very similar to that. What's up, Pine Knot? That there was a kid and his parents or his dad were on a trail, and he had gotten lost from his dad, and he ends up being found. This is just, I'd heard it a while ago, so I'm not really sure exactly how it goes. He ends up getting found by a female Bigfoot, right? And he knows it's a female because he can see breasts. And he can sense that it doesn't want to hurt him. It's almost like communicating with like its hands, not showing it a lot of affection, but like keeping him safe, keeping the child safe. The other Bigfoot, the male Bigfoot, comes into the picture and is very aggressive. The female is bigger than the male and kind of puts the male in its place, keeping that human child safe. And the little kid could recall, when recalling the experience, he said that he felt like the female was protecting him from the male. The male didn't want, him in and around the area they were at. And eventually the female Bigfoot led the kid to the trail to where his dad had found him. Interesting. Not much, Jordan. Not much. What's up, William Menendez? Nikola Tesla. That's awesome about your kids. Your kid, UTC. DC, how are you? We'll do a lot lizard experience right after this. What's up, Trisha Ann? How are you? I'm glad that you're here with us, DC. With True Lime packets. What's True Lime? What is True Lime? M. Kirby, how are you? I need to find out what True Lime is. Stormy is doing well. Stormy is so fucking cute. She's teething. Oh my God. She's adorable. What's up, Maura? How are you? She is so priceless. She's just a little bitty thing. On the night of August 21st, 2015, in Kings Mountain, North Carolina, I was sitting on the front porch waiting for my dogs to do their thing, when all of a sudden all 5 dogs started barking like crazy. I never heard them bark like that before. It's like they were ready to tear something apart. I tried to see what they were after, but it was really dark that evening. Then all of a sudden, this red eye appeared, looking at my dogs and me. It was across the road heading west. I mean, the eye was so clear that I could see much of its detail. Jersey, thank you so much. I ran into the house and grabbed a flashlight, but by the time I had gotten back out, it was gone. The dogs were still on the west side of the fence, barking with the same force. So I walked to the edge of the porch, but I could not see a thing, even with the night light at the corner of the house. Then the red eye appeared again, looking at me and the dogs heading south through a small woods between me and the neighbor's house. It stood there for 30 seconds. When I raised the flashlight, it disappeared. To me, it looked like a lizard's eye. It didn't seem that it wanted to harm us, so I did not chase it. I've heard reports of Bigfoot being dropped off or taken into spacecraft. Do you suppose it was that was an alien looking for? I've seen Bigfoot in the woods behind our house. There have been others that have seen it as well. My feelings about all of this, it started in the 70s when I was sitting on a lawn chair looking at the stars and seeing bright lights go from one star to the other. You would not believe what I've witnessed in these years. People would say I'm nuts and crazy. I do not care. I know what I've seen and heard. Van Turner, welcome to the live. Jersey Nightcat, thank you again. Alan Howell, what's up, my friend? Lot lizard story. All right, here we go. I got 3 lot lizard stories, and for those of you who are new to the live stream, lot lizards are the most venomous and vicious cryptids in this world, in any other world. They are terrifying. They are the most dangerous cryptid known to man. They will cause much pain and burning. These are the only fictional stories you will hear on my channel, and it is only at the live stream. True that. The fluorescent lights of the Flying J hummed a monotone tone, mirroring a weary sigh of a long-hauled trucker nursing lukewarm coffee at 3 a.m. Lizzo, a woman whose curves rivaled the Rocky Mountains, leaned against the chrome bumper of a Peterbilt. Her sequenced leggings shimmered under the harsh glare. She was a lot lizard, a truck stop siren, and she knew the lonely road better than the map. The Flying J, however, had been suffering a recent decline in clientele, a fact Lizzo was not thrilled about. Turns out a love-sick cryptid was bad for business. It started subtle, muddy footprints the size of dinner plates appearing overnight next to the dumpsters, then the occasional ransacked garbage can, the contents strewn across the parking lot like a discarded salad bar. Finally, the howling, a mournful, earth-shaking howl that vibrated through the booths of the diner and sent shivers down the spines of hardened by years of diesel fumes and late-night radio. This was a Bigfoot, and this Bigfoot was clearly smitten. The first clear sign of its infatuation was the roses, or rather, the mangled remains of roses. Every morning, Lizzo would find a bouquet of wild flowers, clumsily crushed and partially eaten, left on the hood of her beat-up Ford Taurus. They smelled distinctly of wet dog and pine needles. The truckers, initially terrified, started placing bets on how long it would take before the beast actually carried Lizzo off into the woods. "He's got a thing for the curves, that's for sure," chuckled Big Joe, a man whose stomach preceded him a good 3 feet. "You're his Everest, Lizzo." Lizzo, however, was not amused. This hairy Romeo was cramping her style. She tried everything to deter him. She put a sign that read, "Caution, bear traps, no trespassing." It was promptly ripped down and used to wipe something unpleasant. She blasted death metal from her car stereo. Bigfoot seemed to enjoy it, judging by the rhythmic swaying of the trees in the distance. Hell, she even tried pepper spray. The only result was a sneezing fit heard for miles. One particular slow night, staring at the mangled remains of another floral tribute, Lizzo sighed. "What do you want from me, you big hairy lug?" she muttered into the darkness. A rustling sound answered her, then a low guttural growl that sounded suspiciously like sobbing. Curiosity, a quality that had kept her in business for years, got the better of her, and Lizzo grabbed her mag light and ventured toward the edge of the woods. There he was, Bigfoot. He was even bigger and hairier than she'd imagined. He was sitting on a fallen log, his massive shoulders shaking with silent sobs. In his enormous paw, he clutched a tattered copy of Playgirl. Lizzo, hardened by years of dealing with desperate men, found herself feeling pity. Hey, she said, cautiously approaching him. You okay, big guy? Bigfoot looked up, his eyes wide and glistening. He let out a wail that sounded like a wounded moose. You like me? He grunted, his voice surprisingly. Lizzo hesitated. This was getting weird, even for her. But then she looked at the loneliness in his eyes, a desperate yearning for connection. And she remembered being the new girl in town, the outsider, the one who nobody understood. Well, she said, leaning against the log, you're persistent, and you always bring me flowers, even if they are a little chewed up. And so began the most unlikely romance the Flying J had ever witnessed. Lizzo taught Bigfoot about hygiene, mostly etiquette, and the finer points of Fleetwood Mac. Bigfoot, in turn, brought her the juiciest berries, protected her from overly enormous truckers, and gifted her a collection of shiny bottle caps he painstakingly gathered from the ditches along the highway. The truckers, initially skeptical, grew to accept the relationship. Big Joe even started leaving out extra large portions of chili for Bigfoot. One crisp autumn morning, a year later, Lizzo emerged from the woods, her belly noticeably rounder. Following her were two miniature big feet covered in soft brown fur, giggling and chasing butterflies. Word spread like wildfire. The Flying J became a must-see tourist attraction. People came from miles around to catch a glimpse of Lizzo, the lot lizard who had tamed the beast, and the beautiful hairy babies. They were a sensation. Lizzo, breastfeeding a baby Bigfoot, leaned against the Ford Taurus, her sequenced diaper bag slung over her shoulder. She watched Bigfoot, his enormous frame, lumbering through the parking lot, handing out flyers advertising the Flying J new Bigfoot burger. Who knew? She said to herself, a genuine smile spread across her face. Sometimes all it takes is a little love, a whole lot of hairspray to find yourself a happy ending. What's up, ATD? Well, no, Lizzo didn't get got. That Bigfoot got. Arabic. That the sequenced diaper bag. The sequenced diaper bag is perfect. Well, Vanessa, I do live in the Adirondacks, so I do plan on doing it. Again, I do it as often as I can. So I'm probably a lot more this year than last year. Thank you, Arabic. What if Lizzo and Bigfoot had a child? They did. They had 3 of them. Gave up on my dreams like a Ford Taurus. Oh shit. You rock like socks with Birkenstocks. Someday, Arabic, someday. We're going slow, baby. What's up, Mickey? Rosie O'Donnell was one of the children I heard back in the day. Arabic, thank you so much, my friend. I heard Rosie O'Donnell was one of the children. That happened like 45 years ago, 50 years ago. So Rosie was definitely one of the children. They just shaved her, and then when she came out of the woods, she said "Goony goo goo." Craigers, holy shit! Thank you so much. Wow, thank you very much. Oprah was one. Oprah and Rosie. Aretha, thank you. Wow, guys, thank you so much. You guys are amazing tonight. Thank you. All three of you membership given mothers. I live near downtown Philly. I always enjoy night walks, even though it was not recommended in my neighborhood. But the best way for me to find some peace after a long, hectic day at work. I miss those walks because I stopped taking them after I saw what I saw. It alerted me of its presence while I was walking behind two buildings. There was a quick snap, like a branch breaking. When I turned to look, I saw its limbs. The long, somewhat humanoid arms were stretching out from behind the side of a dumpster. I could see extended fingers with the clawed ends. I wouldn't say that I was afraid, but I did suddenly feel out of place, as if I had accidentally opened the door into somebody else's house. I sheepishly said, "Hello?" The arms jerked suddenly, and there was another series of loud snaps from behind the dumpster. I realized that the snapping sounds were coming from the creature's limbs. That was when the fear crept in, but I was strangely frozen in place as the claws returned from the shadows. They curled over the rim of the dumpster and slowly began tapping against the metal. The creature pulled itself upright, its head peeked over the edge. It looked vaguely human-like and was shaped like a man. The mouth hung open as if it was trying to take a breath, then slid back, ducking out of sight yet again. After several seconds had passed, this humanoid leapt from behind its hiding place. It hunkered onto the ground. Its legs were long as its arms, and the entire body was hairless and gaunt. It looked like a corpse. It then made a sudden lunge toward me. I ran as quickly as I could while hearing snarling and shrieks coming from behind me. I heard it running on the ground, but then realized that it was running on the walls. It scurried along the side of the building like a spider. My only hope was to reach my front door before it reached me. As I approached my residence, I fumbled with the keys, but was able to unlock the door and slide into the foyer. The creature crashed against my door and banged on the frame for a few seconds before falling silent. I quickly made my way to the back door to make sure that it was locked as well. I walked back to the front foyer and watched the front door for what must have been hours. I knew that it was still there. I could hear the barely audible breathing as it waited for me to make a mistake of checking if it had left. Eventually, the sun started to break through the darkness. I pressed my ear against the door, but heard nothing. I slowly opened the door. The coast was clear. The creature was gone. That was the last time I took a walk in my neighborhood at night. I only walk now in the daylight, as I have kept a vigilant eye open for anything unusual. I have no idea what that humanoid was or what it wanted from me, but I was not going to take any chances on finding out. Rockin' steady. Yeah, I don't control the ads, my true sense. So unfortunately, Johnny Ohm, put some brass knuckles on, buddy. I will, pups. Wait, we don't get mail tomorrow. Sunday. Oh, okay. You didn't have to. My friend is okay. My friend, Jimmy, is still sending it just got shipped out. I had to wait for him to sign it. I'm just letting your birthday gift go right now. Do you know any stories from Santa Cruz? I may have some. I'm not really sure. I don't have any in here tonight. I was thinking about okay, here's a question I wanted to ask you guys. So, how would you guys feel if I, instead of finding experiences to share with you guys during the live, if I took one day and just wrote the lot lizard stories out like I normally do, but then opened the filing cabinet and went maybe like state by state, picked an encounter out of each state that I was going to, would that be pretty cool or no? Bruce Pistol, how are you? That's probably, I'm going to do that because it's literally like the live stream Saturdays are hard as hell. Only if. Nope. I'm all done, rockin' steady. How about this? If you send me one, I'll wear it for a minute. But I figured that would be best. You know what I mean? Cherry, how are you? 59th, how are you? I'm sorry if I missed saying hi to you. I am still on my Sedona research, not a video. Navajo. I have some Sedona stuff for you, buddy. Well, what I have is Turbo is every subscriber that has ever sent me their encounter, I've printed it out and saved it in a state-by-state file. So like I have a filing cabinet just full. Every state. Oklahoma, Illinois, every state. Turbo Christ. I'm going to get that tattoo. I'm getting that tattoo. Matt Farms. A hi. Well, thank you, 175. X-Files running in the background. Past my window years and years ago. I think, did I narrate that, Trisha Ann? Aramic, holy shit, thank you so much. DJ the Pirate. I had an encounter when I was young, and maybe my true sense. In 1997, I had a Dogman encounter, and myself and four of my friends were kind of surrounded by a group of them. We only saw one, but I don't know who Tom is. Tom Lyons is the author that had me narrate his books a long time ago, George. The Lot Lizard stories are mine. I write them. I've never met Tom Lyons. He sent me a invitation via Amazon to narrate those 3 books. I chose to do it, did it, and then he's got a ton of other books. I'd love to narrate some more of them for him. And I did it when I was fucking just starting out, so I think they're shitty. I would love to do it now with the proper equipment that I have, because it would be better, I think. I would love to do them over again, to be honest with you. Night Vision, be careful in Tennessee. Well, thank you, Janie. This occurred in central Iowa at Saylorville Lake on the nights of December 14th and 15th, 2017. So I was with 2 friends, and we had a strange encounter with multiple humanoids that we saw in the woods from our car that night. We were really freaked out and barely talking. The only reason we were there was that we had an encounter the previous night with what we thought were multiple humans watching us for maybe hours and communicating with each other by tapping the trees in some code and making noise not dissimilar to screeches. These noises coincided with the light turned on, and at one point we stopped hearing them for almost 30 minutes. So we called a friend, and while my friend that called was whispering on the phone, we heard the communication again and whispered for him to hang up immediately. As we said that, the noise stopped before he even hung up or pulled the phone from his face. We also saw multiple silhouettes walking away through the trees. We were checking out the area again after that encounter the previous night. What we saw sent chills up and down our spines. We did not discuss it. Instead, we individually wrote down what we saw and compared it to avoid influencing each other's thoughts on what we had seen. Our descriptions were all the same, with only a small discrepancy in height and different levels of detail. The height range was about 7 to 8 feet in height. My other friend thought it was about 6 feet or so. The description that follows is the most detailed. Our friend actually got out of the car and went to the edge of the woods to listen closer, something none of us would ever do after seeing those eyes. There was more than one. They were positioned to our right and our left and straight ahead, very slender, tall, hunched back, and brown in color. Their eyes had a yellowish orange glow, almost like a cat's eyes that would reflect in the dark, but no lights around. The movements were precise and quiet despite dry leaves everywhere. They had 2 primary locations they went back and forth from, but they had more spots on their path. When I was outside of the car, I could hear something breathing. Their footsteps mimicked mine, and it only happened when I was moving or looking back to the car. They used the trees to cover the light reflection. And when we spoke, all was silent. They did not walk heel to toe, but toe to heel. Really bizarre. Their breathing heavy through their nostrils, it seemed. I have never gone back to that location and have since moved to Texas. I doubt that my friends ever went back either. Sheesh. No, Tom Lyons, I narrated and produced his books. He has nothing to do with the channel. Just a guy who researches Bigfoot and Dogman and other. He writes a lot of books on like forests, not just Bigfoot and Dogman, but a lot of high strangeness stuff too. Very, very nice guy. Even though I've never met him, we've communicated like through text on ACX. Oh, thanks, Pops. What's up, Gator? Big Sky Country. That you narrated? Yeah, I narrated the 3 books. Yes. Spider battles. No, I don't. No. No website. DL. Mr. DL Hemingway. Have a good night, my friend. And your mom is in my prayers. 100%. My condolences, would that be the right word? Go out to you and yours. I know what you're going through, and it's terrible. It is terrible. Jay Cortez, what's up, buddy? Dude, that was weird. Your little circle didn't pop up. My mapping is coming along good. Good. I'm still putting it together, Delirium. Periodically I'll show you I've been working on New Mexico. I really think something's going on in New Mexico and like the northern part of New Mexico, southern part of Colorado. Um, Holy shit. Richard Windsor, thank you. Wow, that's awesome. Do you need my email? I really, really want to you got me excited now. Haha. A little bit of morning wood. But, like, I don't know. If you think about, so there is so many attacks and just random weird shit. If you really honestly sit down and look at it in the lower part of Colorado, all through Colorado, I'm saying lower part because it's right there. I know there's like Meeker, Colorado, I don't believe is above the underground city, obviously, but just the lower part. And I don't believe it's larger than like New York City, obviously. It's fucking huge. But I don't know. I'm just something's up. Like there's supposedly an alien city below Los Angeles. And if you really research into that, you can find some information. There was a guy who worked in the sewers, in the sewer department, and he had found an entrance to this old alien city, that the agenda had used. I don't know. There's some weird stuff going on. What's even weird is that under, I believe, Salt Lake City, Utah, Pups, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, that in some of the buildings, there is entrances to an underground like area under Salt Lake City. Dis, how are you? Brings a new meaning to Chud. I'm glad that you're here with us, Cortez. Oh yeah, under Denver Airport. I've done an upload about the Denver Airport, but I don't think that's I think it's connected by tunnels, but there's something bigger than anybody wants to look at. You know what I mean? Like, I think Dulce is just like, if you think about what the explanation how the description of the underground, like the underground base under Dulce, it seemed much bigger than anything. Like there is ships, they had stated. Phil Schneider said there was ships and huge space shuttles, ships, whatever. And I think like also they travel via portal underground, so we don't see them as often. Jordan Stevens. Yeah, I cover every state. Every state. I've been. This channel isn't new. It's like 8 years old, and I've been every city, state. Yes, Trisha Ann. Yes, that's a sinkholes. Yeah, I'll never forget the Vietnam War. My dad was in Vietnam for a while. Never forget it. Speaking of Vietnam, where's Vang? Vang is not here tonight. What do you think about the bugosphere? I'm not buying. I don't know. There's just sometimes there's too much to I don't know. Sometimes there's just too much to believe, and there's too many. I think there's a lot of fucking plants in YouTube right now. I think there's a lot of plants. And if you think about it, here's something. I was talking to somebody about it the other day. So Dark Waters is huge, obviously. And he's always been a fucking great channel, a huge channel. And if you look at his quality, Aretha, thank you so much. If you look at the quality that Gravedigger, that's an awesome name. That's a great rap group too. If you look at the quality of his channel, it resembles mine. What lurks below or beneath that channel, great channel. How to Hunt, great channel. But the quality is like regular people shit. And then you have these channels that just pop up out of nowhere that have quality like Joe Rogan. And you're like, how does that happen? And I think those are the plants. And they create this like weird kind of, I don't know. Greatest album ever for rap is the freaking 6 Feet Deep. I have it on vinyl downstairs. There's Clint. What's up, buddy? And I have the vinyl with 1-800, the word we can't say on YouTube, remix on one side, like the extended remix, and then the regular album side. Stalking in the dirt, digging in the dirt up your skirt. I spark the night like a Rasta with reefer. Trisha, and I have no idea what that means, but I'm sorry. I don't know what that means. Deborah, how are you? How much for the vinyl? I will never sell it, ever. Oh, okay. I thought you met your daughter. I'm like, oh shit, on Christmas? I'm like, dang, that's terrible. It's terrible that your dad passed away on Christmas or before your daughter's Christmas too. That's was I a headbanger? I listen to everything. I'm from New York. I listen to metal. I listen to New York rap when I was growing up, like Wu-Tang, Gravediggers, fucking Flatliners, Nas, Lost Boys, and then metal. So everything. There was the Grimm Brothers. Grimm Brothers is Fru Quan from Gravediggers' first album. But that's enough of that. I'm 27 now, but when I was 17, just weeks from 18, I lived in a small town in Missouri called Pierce City. I had saved up a good 4 years worth of paychecks and sold my TV to buy a used Suzuki SV 650. It was my dream bike. I went and bought it, and my dad helped me get it to our home because I wasn't legally able to ride it for another few weeks. I remember when we got it home, I put it in our barn and locked the barn because we didn't have a garage. I don't remember why I did it though. It's a very small town and we knew pretty much everyone and are hours away from our nearest neighbor. I fell asleep at around 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. and woke up at 3 a.m. because I heard a large bang near the barn. I thought it was one of our horses that might have gotten spooked or something, so I went out and checked. I always carry a buck 110 folding blade, and when I get to the barn, it was still locked. There are no windows besides one way at the top, but it's a good 15 feet high and there is not a ladder. I unlocked the barn and walked in, and I knew my used bike was on the floor. I heard a crunching, chewing noise. Instinctively, I grabbed my knife, and there was a little light, just enough to reflect the polished metal. I peeked into the pen, and I kid you not, there was something squatted over the horse who it had just killed as a healthy animal we took care of. I've seen wolves eat animals before, and it was not like that. It looked like the Lord of the Rings, a cave dweller thing. Taller, though. I know it was only a couple of seconds, but it felt like minutes for me being frozen there. Whatever it was looked at me. I turned and sprinted back to the house screaming. I swear it chased me. Chased me. It ran on all fours and screeched like a worn brake on a heavy vehicle. I must have awoken my dad as he met me at the door with his gun loaded, fired 2 shots in the direction, and then shoved me inside and shut the door. It seemed scared of the shots, and we later dialed the police, though they found nothing. Anyway, if anyone lives near where I live and has heard of anything like this, please send an email. It still haunts me to this day, and I still live there. Golem-like creature, yeah, like a crawler, Johnny Ohm. You know it, Spaghetti Guy. Andy Davis. That was Widmore. That was in Missouri, Pierce City. That sounds awesome. That sounds great, Richard. Thank you. I'm looking forward to hearing it. I don't like crawlers. I hate crawlers. Crawlers scare the shit out of me. Robin, how are you? When I do the state by state thing, I will, Trishan. Chuck Norris not only puts them on fish hooks, but he also sells the shittiest water ever. I probably will not ever hit 1 million subs, but that would be awesome. I'd have to I don't know, do something crazy. Hodakas were fucking awesome. I haven't heard that name in forever, George. Wow, Hodakas. No shit. I remember when I was younger, my cousin had a Hodaka, and I like three-wheelers instead of dirt bikes and stuff. I had a 250R and a 350X Honda. So 1 2-stroke, 1 4-stroke. But I wanted a Tiger so bad. The Tiger three-wheelers were the greatest three-wheelers ever made. They had a Rotex engine in them, and they were so fast. There we go. That was so good. So good. No, we'll wait a couple more minutes. Harley, no shit, rockin' steady. Good job, bub. Awesome for you. I tasted that burp here in Utah. Classic cars are great. I like classic cars. I was just talking about three-wheeler, though. Classic cars are sick. I remember I had my RX-7 91, so it would be a classic, and I raced an AMX. That was a cool race. 68s are nice. The Super Sport. 68s had the Rally Sport too, didn't they? They had the Rally Sport and Super Sport. Yeah, a Mazda RX-7 axle. Old as hell, Justin. I have a 71 Chevy 8-foot box, 3 on the tree truck right now. Well, it's not my daily driver, but did you street race? Kind of. This was when I was young, Johnny. So, like, I mean, it wasn't like now where it was like when I was into cars, it was when cars were, not what they are now. You couldn't buy a fucking 400 horsepower car right off the showroom. You know what I mean? Like, my RX-7 was 226 horsepower, naturally aspirated, so like it wasn't. I miss those days when cars were cool, and now it's just like a fucking Camry can beat an older, muscle car. It's weird. Situation on the tire situation. What's on there? Hang on a second. I'll tell you right now. I forget. I'll post a picture on the community post. Hang on. I'll tell you in a second. Boop, boop. 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 Downloads. Nope. Camera roll. Where's camera roll? Recent. They're Goodyear Wranglers. Aramic, thank you so much, brother. It's got a cammed Corvette engine in it. It's my truck. It's my dad's truck, but it's my truck because my dad gave it to me, and I drive it with my dad in it. The Japanese cars, yes, Charles. Well, it was actually like in the 90s when like the Supra, the 300Z, the RX-7, the NSX, there was a gentleman's agreement in Japan that said 276 was the max that they'd say it was, but it wasn't, It's not stock. Trisha Ann, thank you so much. 100%, Van. They were definitely Dogman. There was tails. They were not werewolves. No. Mazda does, Nicola. The Mazda does not do rotaries anymore. The last rotary engine car Mazda did was the Eunice Cosmo in, the RX-7. They did an RX-7 2000 something Spirit R, and then the Eunice Cosmo was in Japan and Australia. My dream car is, I just want a 1976 Toyota fucking Land Cruiser. That's all I want. Toyota Land Cruiser, I'm happy. Irish Catholic, I honestly, that's a nice car. It's not my cup of tea. I'm not a big fan of Dodge at all. Not a big fan. I mean, it's a great car. Subaru, I love Subarus. Subarus are my favorite car. Like, I love Foresters. I love them. All right, here we go. In December of 2005, I was on my way home near Norway, Iowa, late one night after work. I almost always walk the train tracks because it's a straight shot toward my house. The tracks ran past an old settler cemetery that is allegedly haunted. It's already dark, and it has been so for a few hours. There is no moon tonight. As I walk by the cemetery, I start to hear a muffled footstep behind me and don't think much of it. Plenty of other people walk this way as well. So I keep going, and the footsteps get louder and louder. Midway past the cemetery, I get nervous as the steps are getting closer, so I turn to look. What I saw seemed to be a goatman or the devil himself. This thing basically had goat hooves, horns along the lines of the mythical Pan. And this thing was heading straight for me. All the snow around this creature was immediately melting as it walked. I ran, screaming. I heard claps of the creature's footsteps behind me, speeding up to catch me. Finally, I got past the graveyard, and I saw the thing stop right at the edge of the cemetery. I continued to run, and I stopped to look back as the creature vanished. One of my coworkers confided with me about the tale of the goatman many years ago. It was supposedly a Polish immigrant who disappeared one night but returned as the creature several years later. There have been multiple UFO and strange being reports around this area and at the time that the man had vanished. Ooh, Ford Escorts. Ooh, I love Ford Escorts. Fucking Escort GT, baby. I would take an Escort GT all day long. Fucking hatchback Escort GT from hell. Turbocharge that motherfucker and let's do it. Let's do it. All right. Here we go. Lot Lizard story. Once again, this is the only time fiction will be on my channel. Here we go. This one is good. This one is fucking really good. Earl the trucker, with a gut that strained the buttons of his plaid shirt and laugh that could curdle milk, hauled everything from frozen peas to lumber. Even that weirdly realistic animatronic dinosaur destined for a roadside attraction in South Dakota. Larry Lindman, thank you so much. Just had to inform one of the residents I find most of the good providers try to keep the red stuff in patients and ask whose side are you on, patients or death. Dang, bro. Good for you. Larry Lindman, you are great. I love you. All right. Thank you, Larry. Larry is a generous man. He is a nice person too. Aramik is a generous man and a nice person. Yugos are coming back. Yugos are coming back, by the way. Yugos. I remember when I saw my first Yugo, I was like 10, and I told my dad I liked them. And my mom and dad had a 442. We're driving by it in our 442. And I looked at it and I said, I like that car. I don't know why. It had a hood dam on it. And my dad said, if you get a Yugo, you go. That's exactly what he said. All right. Larry works in a hospital, Johnny Ohm. Larry is all right, here we go. Earl, a trucker with a gut that strained the buttons of his plaid shirt and laugh that could curdle milk, hauled everything from frozen peas, lumber, even that weirdly realistic animatronic dinosaur destined for a roadside attraction in South Dakota. But nothing, and Earl met nothing, prepared him for the government contract. He was told it was sensitive cargo. Sensitive as in requiring a signed non-disclosure agreement that practically sold his soul to Uncle Sam and involved men in black suits who looked like they hadn't cracked a smile since the Eisenhower administration. He wasn't told he'd be hauling a frickin' UFO strapped down tighter than a drum solo and containing, well, he wasn't exactly sure, but he suspected it involved little green men. The first few hauls were uneventful. Earl developed a routine, strong coffee, classic country on the radio, and the constant nagging feeling he was being watched by more than just the occasional hawk circling overhead. He glimpsed movement inside the tarp-covered UFO, flashing lights, strange shadows, but the men in black insisted it was just atmospheric interference. Earl, who once mistook a raccoon for the chupacabra, was not buying it. Things got interesting at the truck stop just outside of Roswell, New Mexico. Earl, craving a chili dog, parked his rig and ambled inside. That's where he met Lizzo. Lizzo, a self-described freelance hospitality consultant, was a lot lizard legend. A whirlwind of teased blonde hair, leopard print, and a smile sharper than a Ginsu. She was known for her uncanny ability to sweet-talk truckers out of an extra fuel money and an encyclopedic knowledge of every truck stop buffet from coast to coast. Earl, usually immune to such charms, found himself captivated by Lizzo's boisterous energy. They shared a chili dog, extra onions for Lizzo, exchanged trucker gossip, and then, out of the blue, Lizzo leaned in, her voice just a conspiratorial whisper. Earl, honey, she said, her eyes gleaming. I've been hearing things about your cargo, things out of this world. Earl, suspiciously trying to play it cool. Just a big satellite dish, he mumbled. Lizzo burst out laughing, the sound that echoed through the greasy diner. Satellite dish, my Aunt Fanny. I know aliens when I see them. They've been telepathically calling for me, Earl. They need my help. That's when Earl realized he was in way over his head. Apparently, the aliens, who look remarkably like grumpy avocados with oversized eyes, had been contacting Lizzo through the truck stop faulty Wi Fi. They had learned about Earth culture from reruns of Golden Girls and decided Lizzo was their key to freedom. They needed her to disable the UFO security system, which, according to Lizzo, was surprisingly vulnerable to a well placed bobby pin and a rendition of I Will Survive. Earl, fueled by the potent contribution or combination of chili dog and sheer disbelief, agreed to help. He figured he was already neck deep in government secrets. What's one more cosmic conspiracy? That night, under the cloak of darkness or desert darkness, Lizzo, armed with her bobby pin and a karaoke-worthy microphone, she kept in her purse, snuck aboard the UFO. Earl, meanwhile, kept watch, fending off paranoid truckers with increasingly outlandish stories about government experiments gone wrong. Then the UFO started to hum. The hum grew louder, vibrating through the truck stop like a disco earthquake. Red and blue lights bathed the desert, and the diner spilled out, gaping at the spectacle. Suddenly, the men in black arrived, screeching to a halt in their unmarked sedans. They brandished weapons that looked suspiciously like ray guns and screamed, "Breaches in protocol!" That's when Lizzo emerged from the UFO, triumphantly waving her bobby pin. "They're free!" she yelled, before launching into a spirited rendition of I Will Survive, which, to Earl's utter astonishment, seemed to be scrambling the men in black's brainwaves. The avocado aliens, freed from their captivity, swarmed out. They waddled and wobbled, and then, with a collective chirp that sounded suspiciously like, "Thank you, Dorothy," floated up into the now open hatch of the UFO. The UFO, with Lizzo still belting a Gloria Gaynor rose in the air, leaving a trail of shimmering dust and stunned onlookers in its wake. Earl stood there, mouth agape, as the men in black, now clutching their heads and mumbling out temporal anomalies, scrambled to regain control. One of them finally focused on Earl. You're responsible for this." Earl shrugged, grabbing his chili dog remnants and walking back to his rig. "Just doing my job, fellas," he said with a wink, "hauling sensitive cargo." He drove off into the sunrise, the faint strains of I Will Survive still echoing in his ear. He never saw Lizzo again, but he often wondered what she was doing, probably saving another galaxy, one truck stop at a time. And every time Earl passed a field of avocados, he couldn't help but chuckle. Remember in the night he helped a bunch of grumpy intergalactic fruit escape with the help of a lot lizard and a karaoke machine. It was, without a doubt, the most interesting haul of his career, and he suspected the only one worthy of a country song. Wing Seam, thank you so much. Look cute, goofy, look tarded. Look tarded. Oh shit. Randall Kennedy. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, damn it. What's good, Juno? Oh, Jason, send me an email, my friend. Send me an email, please. And thank you for following me. Amanda's Crazy Life channel, how are you? Randall Kennedy, thank you again. Appreciate that. It's time. Aramaic! It's time. It is time. Hang on. Because $20 is $20. That was my rendition of I Will Survive. And I had that in so I could. Ugh. I can name that too. Johnny Wad, what's up, buddy? They scare me, Van. They scare me. Tara Piper Maxwell. Thank you. Oh, shit. I still have to get my hip replaced again for the third time. Damn it, Randy, man. Fuck. That's terrible, Randall. I'm 18 years old and recently graduated from high school. There has been some unexplained things going on in my home ever since we moved in last year. My younger brother was in his room carrying out a conversation, which was weird because we were alone at home. I went to see who he was talking to and there was no one there. So I asked him who he was talking to and he said a little girl with black eyes. I asked him where she was and he said she had left. I thought he was lying. A week later, we started hearing voices and footsteps. I would be sleeping in my blankets covering me, and I'd wake up with them folded at the bottom of my bed. My sister got scared one night and crawled into bed with me. As she was getting into my bed, I woke up, so I turned on the TV. I also turned on my light to find the remote. I left the light on along with the TV. Right when we were both drifting off to sleep, my door slammed shut, which was almost impossible as I always have a basket of full books in front of the door, so it doesn't close. The light then shut off, and my TV picture went off with static noise. I got up and went to the door. I tried to open it, but it was like someone was holding the door shut from the handle outside. My sister and I started to scream when my mom came and opened the door. As she did, the light turned back on and the TV picture came back on. We had a priest bless the house, but the activity continues. The house was built in 2003 and no one has died here. Yee, yee. Sage that shit. The sighting happened in April of 2022 in Birdsboro, Pennsylvania, in Birdsboro Preserve. This area is just north of French Creek State Park, and the forests intersect to one another. There are roughly 15 to 20 square miles of dense natural woodland in the area. It is one of the largest forested areas in southeastern Pennsylvania. It was a crystal clear, warm spring day, and my 12-year-old daughter wanted to learn trout fishing. We decided to go up to Hay Creek, which runs for 13 miles through French Creek State Park and through Birdsboro Preserve. We parked at the north end of the preserve in old Route 82, now called Hay Creek Road. We hiked up into the old road past the still active large quarry and continued up about a half mile past it. We found a spot where she could practice wading in the stream in the safe, shallow area of the stream with semi-fast water. There were a lot of people walking, hiking, and horseback riding that day, and not a cloud in the sky. We fished this spot for a couple of hours or so, slowly moving back down the stream. At one point, while I was sitting on the bank enjoying the stream and nature while my daughter was fishing, I heard a loud crash, like a tree falling over behind us. It was a bit strange because I didn't hear any chainsaws, and this sounded like a huge tree coming down. It was only a few hundred feet behind us, and it was super loud. Being an avid extreme outdoorsman for 3+ decades, you know when things do not seem right. This was totally different from a tree falling over and then silence. This went on for a couple of minutes, and I stood up and looked around in the direction the sound was coming from, but saw nothing. I said to myself, that's a bit strange, and it just stopped. 30 minutes later, I heard the same thing again. This went on for like a couple minutes. Now I'm puzzled and was like, what the hell is going on? This is not normal. I said to my daughter, let's start heading back down the stream and find another spot. I did not see anything unusual, but I was on alert. I thought to myself, it could be deeper up in the back across the road, but this sounded. Then I heard a giant crash through the woods. It was very loud. This time it was definitely closer to us. We walked 200 yards down the trail and started hearing this again. It was even closer than the past 2 times. We stopped and looked up toward the quarry in the direction of the sound, but saw nothing. I said, we will cross the stream and fish down on the bend. Aramek, thank you, Aramek, thank you. The spot where you cross the stream is about 30 feet wide and very slippery. I took it slow because the water was a bit high for my daughter. We were about halfway across and all hell broke loose with the sound of tree branches breaking. It took us 90 seconds to cross the stream, and I was holding her hand, helping her. The whole time this sound is still going on, I am looking back to see nothing because we are about 20 feet below the quarry where there's an old bridge. Where we cross the stream, there is about a 6 to 7 foot berm to step up onto the road level. I get up first and help my daughter get up with my hand when I see something moving in the distance out of my peripheral. I turn and look and see nothing at first. Then in the distance where the sound is coming from, I lock onto a 40-foot tall pine tree at the top of the quarry, swaying violently side to side, at least 5 feet each way. I pointed to my daughter and said, holy crap, what the hell is that? Look. The next 40 to 50 seconds would change my life forever. We are watching this pine shake for about 15 seconds. Then I saw what I thought was an arm reaching out from behind the tree. It grabbed a bird, which I think was a turkey buzzard. All of a sudden, this thing jumps out from the pine, to a big oak tree about 10 feet away and starts climbing on the outside of the canopy. It pivoted around somewhat like a spider on top of the canopy and disappeared into the branches of this large oak. Keep in mind, the leaves are just starting to bud on this tree, and we can see movement in the tree branches. This is about 200 to 300 feet away. The whole time, branches are breaking, very large branches, about 2 inches thick. This goes on for about 10 or more seconds, and then this thing jumps out of the tree. Now, these trees are at least 40 feet high. Plus, it falls another 15 to 20 feet onto a 60-degree incline of rocks. So about 60 or so feet, this thing fell. I thought it was dead. I'll never forget the sound of impact. This thing hit super hard. Rocks started flying down the side of the quarry incline at least 10 feet. When it fell out of the tree, the creature landed on all fours. This thing is lying flat and is a bit dazed or winded. Then it stands up bipedally on its hind legs, and it is somewhere between 9 to 10 feet. I'm thinking this thing should be dead. I'm thinking bear, mountain lion, Bigfoot. So this thing stands up, then goes back onto all fours and jumps like a frog does. This thing clears 20 feet of ground in total, not even trying, as well as jumps in height about 10 feet, one jump. It was on all fours again, flat like a frog, and then it dropped this bird it had been holding in its left hand. Keep in mind, the thing landed facing away from us on the right side, with its back to us, running away parallel to our left. It then reaches out with its left hand and grabs the bird and pulls it back into its chest. The arms on this thing are at least 6 feet length and 6 feet plus in length. It was human-like hands and legs. The hands had to have had 2 to 3 inch claws on each finger, as well as feet. As it grabbed the bird, it turned its head to the side, and I saw the side of the head and face. This thing was bald from the neck up. It had a canine-type snout or nose with the upper jaw overhang, with a very long upper teeth like fangs of a werewolf. Not a joke. This thing, when it stood up from heel to hip, was 6 to 7 feet in height, and from hip to shoulder another 3. From heel to the top of its head, easily 9 feet. The head was like a human's head, but had pointed ears like a dog, but not on top of its head. It had ears where a human has them, but just much longer and pointed. It had fur like a deer in length, very short brown, gray and black. The skin color was gray. This creature was very skinny, though, like it was starving, like it was not healthy. Very skinny, except for its forearms, and its legs were very toned. It did not have a tail. This thing stands up again bipedally and takes a step like a track runner, jumping and hurdle, and clears 15-foot rock face again, easily 6 to 7 feet in height and about 15 feet in length. It then took another 5 or 6 steps and went crashing into the woods, and we never saw it again. I stood there in total disbelief. I'm trying to process what the hell I had just seen. I am no fear kind of guy, and this thing scared the living shit out of me. I'm standing there completely frozen with fear, trying to make sense of what just happened. I almost lost myself with fear because I had never had that type of fear ever and had to talk myself out of it. After about 2 minutes in sheer confusion, I snapped out of fear factor, and I was now adrenaline survival mode. The number one concern was my daughter and was getting out of there alive, because this thing ran the same way we had to walk to get to my car. Keep in mind, this thing was busy. It was a busy day with people out from being cooped up all winter. Whatever this thing is, violent and super strong, to the point. Right thing to do is to warn people about this. I will tell you this much. This thing makes a full-grown tiger look like a mouse. My daughter was confused about what had happened. I was very concerned for her safety. As we slowly walked back, I actually started to call 911, but never did because no one would believe me and think I was mad out of my mind. I saw a few people on the way back, and I asked them if they had seen a big animal come down that way. The message for the people out there, one thing I want to say. I have been a lot of national parks and state forests and never have once seen a creature like this. Take everything I thought I knew about the wilderness and throw it right out of the window, and now I have to start all over again. Larry Sharp, how are you? Ugh. What's up, Rhonda? How are you? I'm doing well, Rhonda. Thank you. Blackie the dog. What's up, my friend? Sean McCabe, how are you, buddy? You're still here. Don't worry about it, Rhonda. You're still here. Larry Sharp, I'm glad that you're here with us. Thank you. MJ Richards, how are you, dear? Sully! What's up, buddy? How you doing? Dude, that one was long. My eyes started going. I need some caffeine. Oh, that's so good. Ain't nothing better than a Mexican Coke. Johnny Ohm. Ninja Pirates, nothing can change my mind. Thank you, Blackie. Oh. Dude, I still can't get that elk story out of my head. That elk one was fucked. Oh, you get the shot in your eye, three cat mom. Fuck. I did cause it 59th. I did. It's fucking expensive, actually. I don't know why it's so expensive. It shouldn't be. No, I could not Sasquatch and Grandma. I could not. Thanks, Amanda, Crazy Life Channel. When people say stuff like that, my face turns red. I blush like a mother. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to it, Blackie. Oh. Damn. Thank you, Shackle Neck. Aw, Samara, you're awesome. Shake and bake. They're about baked up. How's your... My dad is... I'm sure he's happy to be home. My mom did yell at him on this trip, though. Send me an email, and we'll figure it out, Rhonda. We'll get you on. I could never imagine having like a needle into my eye. I heard that it doesn't hurt, though. Is that true? Hang on a second. I got to adjust. God dang it. Ugh. That's better. That's better. Dang it. Yeah. Eesh. God. Getting old is not fucking cool. Yeah, I could never. I got cornstarch. I got shower to shower on tonight. SDL. I'm fucking. Lizzie, how are you, dear? It sucks, man. The aging process. You know, with my dad is sleeping right now. My dad goes to bed at like 7 p.m. Big Jim, fucking bed at 7. Um, Liz, thank you for joining us tonight. What's up, IE native? Long time. Yes, it is. The aging process. I wish they fucking warned us, you know? My dad is grouchy. My dad is a mean son of a gun. Holy cow. My mom yells at him just because he's so mean. He will look at somebody and not like the way they look and just fucking bitch about them for like 20 minutes. Look at that little asshole over there. Look at him. Would you look at him? Look at him. Fucking dank. Thank you, Free Fallen. I'm glad that you're here with us. They should in school, they should have said, you're going to get old. It fucking sucks. All right. And they should have taught us life skills, like everything that we needed to know after 18. Fuck all that other shit. Like, teach us how to live in the world, you know? Like, god dang. Because the teachers that taught us were old. They were really old, you know? Exactly, Kelly Johnson. Exactly. Thank you. You know, like, home ec was cool. Our fucking home ec teacher should have been like in her like sewn up denim dress that she made herself with the rollers in her hair. Should have said, listen, this is how you cook food. This is how you sew. This is how you build a bunker. This is how you shoot a fucking firearm. Teach us stuff that matters. Teach us about buying a house, you know? Like, teach us this shit. Don't teach us like dumb shit that we'll never use again. The homemade denim dress. The homemade denim dress. Pups, you're going to bed? Good night, Pups. Thank you for hanging out with us. Yes, that's it, High Strangeness. They want us to just like conform. They're like, let's just keep them dumb and they'll be dumb. Exactly, Andy Davis. My dad knew about cryptids. My dad knew about Bigfoot. Never ever. I've been fascinated with the supernatural world and had strange encounters since I was 6 years old. I'm 30 now. After reading experiences, I'm surprised some are so similar to mine. This happened in Arlington, Texas. So I'm ready to go on my lunch break because the doctor's office is extremely busy and full of patients. I walked to a nearby taco restaurant to get some fresh air and was appalled at the fact they didn't wear gloves while preparing my food. Fucking Karen. I'm just kidding. I didn't want to eat there after that. I just ordered a drink. I headed back to work. I was about 20 minutes away from my job and something within me said, be careful, Christy. I'm freaking out at this point because my mind starts racing with all kinds of thoughts. I'm going to be abducted by a homeless man that lives in the woods. I'm going to get hit by a car. Is someone following me? After realizing I was safe and only 10 minutes away from my job, I calmed down. Of course, that voice came on again. Be careful, Chrissy. I look to my left, no cars. I look to my right, bushes that are taller than me, straight ahead, sidewalk, corner store to the right, next to the street you can turn onto. As soon as I passed the bushes, I saw a very tall, skinny man. He had to be at least 6'8", all tan, brown clothing with brown sandals. He also was dark-skinned. He was walking in the middle of the street heading to the sidewalk I was walking on. I knew something was not right about him. He walked very slowly, like some sort of predator sneaking up on his prey. What really creeped me out was when his foot hit the pavement. It was like they weighed a ton. He's still looking straight ahead. I couldn't keep my eyes off him. I slowed my pace because if I kept walking at this speed I would have been face to face with him. Still, watching him slowly walk as his feet hit the pavement so hard, creepy inside my mind, I'm like, he's going to get me. As soon as I thought that, he turned his head really fast to his left and saw me. His eyes were black, but it was like he didn't have eyelids, just black sockets. Damn near had a panic attack. I walked even slower, hoping he would not go near me. He turned to his right onto the sidewalk I was on ahead of me. His eyes were locked onto mine, and that's when his face morphed into what looked like a demon. I walked into the corner store and did like 3 laps around the store slowly, terrified the man was going to hurt me. The lady at the register asked if I was all right. I smiled and said yes. I was only 5 minutes away from my job, so I decided to continue walking after leaving the store. When I get back onto the sidewalk, I don't see him anywhere. I frantically look for him because an entity walking that slowly couldn't have gotten that far. I gave up looking and began walking really fast, but slowed down when I heard it again. Christy, be careful. I passed my business. To my right, more bushes, and after the bushes, boom. To my right, the guy is standing by a building watching me until I walked into my job. I refused to walk home after work and didn't walk to or from work for at least a week. I was so afraid he'd find me. I had nightmares, but forced myself to stop thinking about him. I was so convinced for some reason that if I kept thinking about him, he was going to knock on my door. That's cool. High strangeness. It's 83 and a grumpy old fart. Sully. Well, if you remember what my dad, when my dad was in the hospital for those 7 months, and his arch enemy, his nemesis, his fucking Moriarty, is his neighbor, Louis Rosati. He fucking hates the man. And they've lived next to each other for years. And they have fucking grass wars. My grass is greener than yours. Oh, don't get your dust on my driveway. That's the kind. So Louis says to me one day, how's your dad doing? He's in my prayers. I hope he's doing well. I tell my dad this when he gets home finally. Dad, Louis said he hopes you get better. And he fucking wished you well. And my dad looked at me and said, fuck him. That's grumpy. Dude, he's just a dick. But I love him. Volek, they are the creepiest. Dude, I'm like, he's praying for you. And he's like, what a dick. God damn. It must be a New York thing, right, Kelly? And then I'm with my mom one day and I'm bringing her somewhere and I say something and my mom looks at me and she goes, "You just sounded like your father." And I'm like, "Oh my fucking God." I'm like, "Please, no, no, no." They do have a grumpy old men. Like when we got my shed driven, like the people that delivered the shed, I have no idea how this guy drove it back there. He had some trailer that fucking went up, down, all around this, that. The guy had to drive on my dad's backyard. Now, his neighbor is standing outside. Mind you, the truck didn't touch his yard. And he starts yelling at his neighbor, starts yelling at the truck driver because he almost touched his yard. And my dad went right over. He goes, "Fuck you, get away from my yard right now." Fucking dink. Telling you. 2 years ago, I lived in an old house outside the city limits of western Alabama. Wild hogs are considered a nuisance in this part of the country and thus are year-round game. The land wasn't mine, but it was legal hunting ground, so my landlord gave me and my friends explicit permission to take care of any hog we came across. So a lot of the time, especially during the winter when this encounter took place, I was posted up on my back porch with a cigar and a gun, either by myself or with company. This land wasn't very clear. In fact, we only had about 20 feet from the porch to the tree line. Then it would go down a hill and the brush would get thicker and thicker. So our hunting was just being quiet and looking for beady eyes of a hog in the foliage when we heard rustling. So that being said, one night during my porch sitting, I heard rustling. I started to scan the woods for this hog and eventually did come across a set of white beady eyes. They were not hog's eyes though, because these eyes were eye level with me. As my eyes continued to adjust, the rest of the creature started to come into view. It was tall, thin, and had long, spindly arms and legs. Its entire body was completely black. I could not make out any other facial features besides its eyes, but what I could make out was that this thing was actually a good way down the hill. So the fact that it was still eye level with me meant that this thing was around 10 feet in height. It started up the hill moving toward me, and I had this feeling in my gut that a 45 caliber probably isn't going to do much to this thing. So I slowly collected my things and headed back into the house. It did not make any sound as it moved, other than the slight crunch of leaves. As it climbed the hill, it somewhat stopped at the tree line, then turned and walked along the edge of it. It bobbed and lurched as it walked, kind of like some large birds bob their heads as they move. That was the most terrified I have ever been in a long time. This wasn't the only encounter. My hunting buddies and I saw it several times, walking through the trees a good bit away, sometimes turning to look at us. My roommate that moved in later that same year once walked outside and saw it right up against the porch, looking down at her. It never tried to attack anyone or acted aggressively. So we eventually stopped being scared, though still very cautious, and started calling it Big Boy. I've told a couple of friends about it. One of them said the description and behavior matched something called the California Dark Watcher. I did my research, and as much as this creature matches up, this was an opposite end of the continent. I am still not 100% sure what it was that I saw. I am 100% sure that I saw it. Multiple people did. Crawlers are the worst. I don't like them. My high strangeness, my daughter, Abby, there's a mental hospital or an asylum. It's closed down. Um, a lot of big, like, paranormal investigators had been there. It's called Saratoga County Asylum. And it's huge. But in the basement, it's dark, like dark, even in daytime. And supposedly, if people walk down there, they will get touched by something. One day, Abby and her friend get out of the car and they walk into the front door and they start to kind of go up to the second floor. There are no cars there at all. There's not a person in sight. And if anyone were to walk there, it would take them hours to get there because it's in a remote area. They get onto this landing of the first floor, so they're about halfway up to the second, and they hear a woman scream. And not like a scream of pain, but like laughter kind of. And they jet down the stairs and back to her friend's car and leave immediately. And Abby caught it on video. I'll try and have her text it to me so I can play it for you guys because it's fucking creepy. I don't know. I think some of the coolest stuff that I ever caught was the at the Conjuring house when I captured the evidence of the crooked neck lady on my SDL cam or SLS camera, SDL, SLS camera. %, Trisha Ann. Dang. Yeah, that would scare the shit out of me. Winter Sky. That would scare me. Unless if they touched me in the right spot. You know, if I'm in a haunted house and I'm walking along by myself and I get a good touch, maybe. It's been a while, so. A little perverted ghost. A little prevert. It all depends, you know? It all depends on how they touch. What's up, Andrea? How are you? Is it time for the final lot lizard story of the night? Oh, Sumner, we're not talking about Bigfoot. Not Bigfoot. I wouldn't let Bigfoot touch my booter. I'm saying if it's like a succubus or something, you know, I'm down for that. I'm fucking down. All right. I'm down. That's really weird, but you know. I might lay down on the floor and be like, all right, let's do this. Just let me close my eyes. No, Andy Davis. I'm not dropping the soap. Bigfoot is not coming for my booter. The flickering neon sign of Big Bob's truck stop, eat till you explode, cast a lurid green glow across a desolate Nebraska landscape. Earl, a trucker with a gut that preceded him by a good 5 minutes, pulled his rig into a space number 14, sighing with relief of a man who had been holding a bathroom break hostage for 300 miles. Big Bob's wasn't exactly a destination. It was a refuge. a haven for weary souls traversing the endless plains. The coffee was always lukewarm, the burgers tasted suspiciously like yesterday's pot roast, and the only entertainment was a broken Pac-Man machine and an occasional bar fight. But tonight was different. Tonight, Big Bob was about to get a whole lot more interesting. Earl lumbered inside, immediately gravitating toward the coffee pot. He poured himself a cup strong enough to strip paint, then settled into a vinyl booth. That's when he noticed a particular atmosphere. A sort of jittery nervousness hung in the air. Even Big Bob, usually a beacon of greasy Bonhomme, looked pale and agitated, nervously wiping down the counter with a rag that probably hadn't seen soap. "Something up, Bob?" Earl grunted, taking a tentative sip of coffee. Bob jumped, nearly dropping the stack of greasy spoons. "Heard something on the CB, Earl. Static mostly, but sound like trouble down the highway. Mumbling, groaning, folks saying things ain't right." Earl, a man who considered brake failure the biggest problem, scoffed. "Probably just some teenagers messing around." He was wrong. Outside, in the inky blackness beyond the truck stop's inadequate lighting, a figure stumbled, then another, then a whole damn horde. They shuffled with an unnerving, jerky gait, their limbs at unnatural angles, their eyes devoid of anything resembling life. They were zombies, and they were hungry. The first sign of trouble was the blood-curdling scream from the parking lot. A young waitress, Brenda, who always wore too much lipstick and dreamed of being a country singer, came bursting through the door, her face white as a sheet. "Zombies! They're out there! Zombies!" she shrieked, pointing a trembling finger toward the parking lot. Everyone in Big Bob, including Earl, initially dismissed her as hysterical. Then a zombie face slammed against the window, its rotting flesh leaving a greasy smear on the glass. Pandemonium erupted. Big Bob, surprisingly agile for a man of his considerable girth, barricaded the door with a stack of ketchup packets and a rusty propane tank. Earl, however, had a different plan. He glanced around the room and his eyes landed on an improbable figure leaning against the Pac-Man machine. And it was Lizzo. Not the Lizzo, the Grammy-winning superstar. This Lizzo was a lot lizard, a resident of Big Bob's of indeterminate age and even more indeterminate hygiene. She was known for her flamboyant outfits, her knowledge of truck stop lore, and her surprising aptitude of fixing broken CBs. Tonight, she was sporting a leopard print jumpsuit and platinum blonde wig that looked suspiciously like it had been attacked by a weed whacker. "Lizzo!" Earl bellowed over the screams. "You got anything that can kill these things?" Lizzo didn't even flinch. She simply reached into her oversized purse that contains the contents of which were a mystery to everyone and produced a tire iron, a gleaming chrome-plated tire iron. "Honey," she drawled, cracking her knuckles, "this baby's seen more action than the Walking Dead marathon. Let's go zombie hunting." And that's exactly what they did. Earl, wielding a greasy spatula he liberated from the kitchen, and Lizzo, wielding her tire iron of doom, emerged from Big Bob's into the zombie-infested parking lot. And what followed was a scene of utter absurdity and unsuspected heroism. Earl, surprisingly nimble for his size, swung that spatula with a surprising force, connecting with the zombies' skulls with a sickling thwack. Lizzo, meanwhile, was a whirling dervish of leopard print and chrome. She moved with a ferocity that bellowed her laid-back persona, smashing zombie heads with precision of a seasoned lumberjack. The zombies, apparently unprepared for such coordination and unconventional assault, began to falter. Earl, fueled by lukewarm coffee and adrenaline, bellowed like a wounded buffalo, drawing the undead horde away from Big Bob's. Lizzo, meanwhile, expertly dispatched any stragglers, punctuating each skull-crushing blow with a colorful string of expletives. The battle raged for what seemed like forever, but slowly, surely, the tide began to turn. One by one, the zombies fell. Their rotting bodies collapsed into a lifeless heap on the asphalt. Finally, with the last exhausted groan, the last zombie crumbled to the ground. Silence descended upon Big Bob's. The only sound was Earl's ragged breathing and Lizzo's satisfied chuckle. Well, that was fun, Lizzo said, wiping a smudge of zombie goo from her cheek. Now, who's buying me a beer? Inside Big Bob, the survivors emerged from their hiding places, blinking in the dim light. Big Bob, and his face still pale, but his eyes shining with gratitude, rushed toward Earl and Lizzo. You saved us, he cried. You're heroes. Anything you want, it's yours. Earl, ever pragmatic, just pointed to the pot of coffee. Just keep that shit flowing, Bob. And maybe fix that damn Pac-Man machine. Lizzo, however, had bigger plans. She looked at Big Bob with a mischievous glint in her eyes. I think this truck stop needs a new name, she said. How about Lizzo's Zombie Zapper? Big Bob, realizing he owed her everything, didn't argue. And so Big Bob's truck stop became Lizzo's Zombie Zapper, a legend whispered amongst truckers and zombie hunters alike. A place where the coffee was strong, the burgers were, well, still suspect, but the service was friendly. And you could always count on finding a lot lizard with a tire iron and a trucker with a spatula ready to defend humanity from the undead. Because in the middle of nowhere, Nebraska, everything is possible, and sometimes the most unlikely heroes are exactly who you need. Yeah, I definitely won't do that, Jose Campos. He is not what people thought he was. He Kirk Stokes. He drove Kirk Stokes out of crypto hunting and cryptid research. So no. Throw down only one is rocking. Jesus Christ. Wait, the Yugo came with a toolkit? Good night, Amanda. Amanda in her crazy life. Good night. I did not know Yugos came with a toolkit. Plus, Sully is the name of the lead singer of a great band. So Sully always rocking with his socking out. Rhonda Wolf. Answer. Waiting. Dang, Rhonda. Dang. Type that shit. The entity. It sounds familiar. Sounds familiar. Jeff, as always, sending you. Thank you, Ruben Cruz. Thank you, my friend. The entity. Maybe. Hang on, let me look. The entity. From 1982? The movie from 1982, Rhonda? Yeah, Deborah Hershey. I'm reading. I'm speaking to you. I'm asking you if it was. Is she not hearing? Is everyone else hearing me on time? Is there a lag? Okay. Thank you, Jermaine. Appreciate the. Yes, I've never seen the movie, Rhonda. Ever seen the movie? No, I've never seen it. I'm going to check it out, though, because it looks good. No. Has everyone else heard me talk about this? Am I in fucking Twilight land? I'm getting scared now. No, I've never seen it, but I'm going to check it out. It is a true story? No shit. I'm going to check it out then. I like true stories. I was getting scared. I was like, am I fucking in Twilight Zone? What the hell? About 4 or 5 years ago, I was walking down a bike path in back of my house with my stepdaughter when I saw two boys leaning against their bikes up ahead. I didn't really think much about it since it was a bike path until one of the kids raised their head up and looked me straight in my eyes. That's when fear struck me so hard I was stopped dead in my tracks. His eyes were black and hollow, like he didn't have a soul. It was pure evil. At least that's the way I can describe it when I recount the incident later that evening to my husband and my other daughter. I immediately led my stepdaughter off the path, cut through someone's yard, and walked up the street. I didn't know what I had encountered at the time, but now I am quite sure they were black-eyed children. I don't know what they are, but I know they are dangerous. It was so weird, I thought that my stepdaughter would also be aware of what I perceived to be impending danger, but she was completely oblivious. Even when I led her off the path and onto the street, I somehow knew I had to get out of there now. Surprisingly, they appeared normal in every other aspect except their eyes, and a vague awareness that they didn't quite fit into the environment. I only saw their eyes of one of them because the other kid had its back to me. He looked to be around 13 or 14, flannel shirt, jeans, and a swarthy complexion. Now that I have been hearing about these experiences, it piques my curiosity, but I wouldn't want to run into them again. Wait, Marilyn Chambers is in it? Hi, buddy. Hi. Come here. Come here. Come here. Hi. I didn't know you were here. I didn't know you were here. Look who came to say hi to everybody. Say hi, everybody. Hi, buddy. Buddy came hi to say to everybody. What's up, Brian Mons? How are you, buddy? Oh, who's your buddy? Who's your buddy, huh? He's passing out right now. Oh, he's a good boy, huh? Oh, he's a good boy. Oh, you're a good boy, huh? Yes, you are. You come to say hi to everybody. You say hi, huh? Get the love. Get the love from everybody. Oh, you good boy. You good boy, huh? Awesome, Brian Mons. Let's see if I can pull this off with Tigger on my lap. Oh, you're such a good boy tonight. Yay. Good boy, huh? Oh, he's a good boy. He's my best friend in the whole world. Huh? Yeah. What? Huh? What? This encounter took place about 4 years ago. Since learning about humanoids and in peculiar about the crawlers, I have been fascinated about them. Back in the good old days, one of my best friends, Robert, would come over for sleepovers, and I introduced to him to cryptid zoology. We always would watch horror movies or videos of bizarre encounters, as we love to frighten ourselves before venturing out into the woods. I basically live a 2-minute walk from the woods. Till that night trip, we never encountered anything really creepy when venturing into the woods. Sometimes Robert would try and stand still in the silence in hope of hearing something exciting. In order for you to better understand my thoughts later on, I want to give you a detailed explanation of our path. It was after midnight when we headed out. Shortly after entering the forest, there is a small crossing with the left path to the right. We took the right, walking up a hill for about a quarter of an hour. After that, we were just pretty much followed the path, reaching the peak of the hill, and then venturing down again about 10 minutes. We reached another crossing. The left path would lead us to another exit, whereas the straight path would let us continue on walking up another hill. About half an hour going up the hill, I told Robert that I wanted to go home, as I started to get cold and tired. Furthermore, I told him I didn't see us witnessing anything exciting this night. Robert was disappointed and nevertheless agreed. Robert wanted us to regularly stop speaking in complete silence so we could hear everything surrounding us. We also had flashed our lights in the woods regularly. This is where it gets creepy. As we start heading down the second hill, we started to relax and talk about other interests. As my shrimp posture obliged me, I more or less only looked at my feet when walking. As we reached the second crosswalk again, Robert suddenly scurried up in panic. He asked me whether I saw something jump in the woods coming from the right path to the path we originally came from. As I already mentioned, I looked at my feet when walking down the path, meaning I could not have seen it. However, I believe that Robert just wanted to build up suspicion, as he liked to do that when nothing happened. So I didn't really believe him. He started throwing rocks in the area where he said the figure seemed to head. We stood still for a couple of minutes, listening for any sounds, but the forest was totally silent. Realizing this, it made me somewhat uncomfortable. On our way back from the second crossing to the first, we started to ease back down again and started talking normally. The walk back also only took about a half an hour. It still gets more creepy. As we were about to reach the first crossing, I used my flashlight on the trees that were not too far ahead of us. As I pointed my light on them, I noticed that there were 2 yellow dots right beside a big tree. As we came closer, I could see it more clearly. These were not just 2 yellow dots. I started to recognize a bald head with these 2 yellow glowing eyes. I told Robert to stand still and pointed him in the area where the thing was peeking at from a tree. I was furious at him because he didn't see it. I told him he needed to focus on the yellow dots. When he recognized it, he freaked out as well. I freaked out even more when I thought about our situation. This creature stood between the only near entrance and exit out of this forest. We really started to panic as we did not know what to do. As Robert also started to flash on this creature, we both more or less shouted at ourselves. The creature went behind the tree and peeked out from the other side. As we followed with our flashlights, it stepped back out from the tree. I was able to see more of its body. It was a whitish gray color, hunched over, and its arms were hanging down. It slowly walked away from the crossing, moving one leg, then the other. We stood on the spot for a couple of seconds. Then I carefully started to peek in the area it had vanished. I could not see it anymore. I told Robert to run for his life, and boy, oh boy, even Usain Bolt would have been astonished about our speed. We ran through the exit and went back to my house. It was the scariest experience of my life. What I really find intriguing about this experience is the creature either followed or stalked us very quietly through the woods for about a half an hour, since Robert spotted it on the second crossing till the exit, or it was smart enough to recognize where the path we took would be leading us to. As we first saw it at the second crossing and then the front of us at the exit. It was also able to recognize pretty fast that we spotted it. I think by switching sides at the tree when peeking, it wanted to confirm for itself whether we spotted it by seeing us rotate the light to the other side. Mind you, these were bad flashlights, which lights only performed worse over the range. Last but not least, I don't think it was scared in the slightest of us. Even as Robert started to speak more loudly in a stressed voice, it calmly started to walk away. Description of this creature that we saw: white gray head, bald, long arms, hunched body posture, arms hanging down. It must have been about 2 meters tall, rather slim body to give you a better reference. Anyway, thank you for allowing me to share. Oh, shit. They were definitely being hunted. Good night, Monkey Poo. All right. I have got to crash. I am tired tonight. I want to thank everybody for hanging out with me. Good live stream tonight. I hope everyone had as much fun as I did. I'll see you guys next week. That was the 3. I did 3, Charles. I did 3. All right. Thank you once again, everyone. I appreciate all of your support, and you guys fucking rock. 59th, me and you will be sucking down Mexican Coke next weekend. Happy Memorial Day weekend. Everyone stay safe, and please just have a good time. Enjoy your family and friends. And I love you guys all. In as the great Ozzy Osbourne would say, I love you all. Sharon, where is my wiener? Love you guys.